Do you know the secret to success? Most people just think about it and they're like, no, but I know it when I see it. Tonight, I'd like to take you on a little journey. The journey is going to take us into the past. We're going to start our journey October 26, 1883. A small little shack in rural West Virginia. In this small little shack, a man named Napoleon Hill is born. He doesn't have a very good upbringing. I mean, he has a lovely family, but unfortunately his mother dies at 9. He has a stepmother who's okay, but they live in a very poor neighborhood. He has bigger dreams for himself. And at the age of 15, he decides to become a newspaper reporter. And he decides that he can do this job, even though he has this poor background, because he's pretty skilled at writing. And he discovers he has a knack for it. And he starts making some pretty good money writing articles for the local West Virginia newspapers. Before too long, he's decided that he can take this money and go to law school. And that's his dream for the next 8 years or so. He works as a reporter, he goes to school. He even gets into law school. Unfortunately for that part of his life, he discovers that reporting really doesn't get him enough income to pay the full tuition for law school, so he has to drop out. Now what to do? Well, the good news is, about this time, it's 1908, a man named Bob Taylor steps into his life. Bob Taylor is the governor of Tennessee, and he owns a string of magazines. He sees these great articles that this young man named Napoleon Hill has written in the newspapers, and he's decided, I want to hire you. So Napoleon Hill says, sure, I'll come write for your magazine. And he does. His first assignment from Bob Taylor is, I'd like you to go out and interview some of the most successful people of our time and write success stories in our magazine. I think that will showcase your talents, and I think it's something that you can do well. Napoleon says, sure, why not? I enjoy talking to people, and off he goes. His first interview is with Andrew Carnegie, a steel magnate, billionaire. Back in 1900, this man was a billionaire, and he was a philanthropist. During the course of the interview, Carnegie and Napoleon find they have a lot in common. And by the end of the interview, Andrew Carnegie says to Napoleon, how would you like to work for me? Here's what I have in mind. I think you should go out and interview all of the most successful people in the United States and find out what it is that made them successful. Because I, Andrew Carnegie, personally believe that there is a formula that every man can use to become successful. Napoleon Hill thinks about that for a while, and he says, you know what? I agree with you, Andrew. I think that's true. Thus begins a 20-year relationship between Andrew Carnegie and Napoleon Hill. Andrew says, well, there is one caveat to this. I'm not going to pay you for this research. What I will do, however, is I will make introductions and I will give you letters of reference so that when you go and call these people and ask for an interview, they will talk to you. Napoleon thought about that, and he decided that even though he had a family to support, that sounded like a good idea to him. That he really thought there was something there to what Andrew Carnegie was thinking. So over the years, he took a variety of jobs. He worked as a news reporter. He worked as an editor for a newspaper, for a magazine. He even worked as a PR person for LaSalle University in Chicago. He did a variety of jobs, but his lifelong passion was to find out, was there really something that you can pin your hat on, that anyone can use, that would lead to success? Over that 20-year period, he talked to 504 industry giants. 504 people that he never would have talked to otherwise if it weren't for that first interview that he did 20 years earlier with Andrew Carnegie. The other truly amazing thing is, in the process of interviewing all of those different people, more people found out about him. One of those people was Woodrow Wilson. So during World War II, Napoleon Hill worked as a publicist for Woodrow Wilson. Rather an amazing story for a young man with a very poor background. Finally, in 1928, after 20 years of working on these interviews, Napoleon Hill decided it was time to start putting these thoughts on paper. And he came up with the first version of his book, called Law of Success. It was a great first draft, but he didn't really feel that that was the essence of what Andrew Carnegie had in mind when he initially had hired him. Unfortunately, Andrew Carnegie had died in 1919, so he never actually saw the first draft of this work. However, he had created by then a number of endowments and philanthropic organizations that were by now paying Napoleon Hill to continue his work. Then in 1933, Napoleon Hill runs into a senator from West Virginia, and that chance meeting leads to his working with Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And though he loved that job, he realized that Law of Success was a good book, but it really wasn't the one that the average man could use to take to that next level. So he quit that job with Franklin Delano Roosevelt and went on to write Think and Grow Rich. It's a great book, and it actually has 15 principles in it, which we don't have time to go through all of them in detail today, but I'll tell you what the 15 topics were. The first is thoughts are things, desire, faith, autosuggestion, specialized knowledge, imagination, organized planning, decision-making, persistence, powers of the mastermind group, the mystery of sex transmutation, and that has nothing to do with sex, that has to do with love and loving the people around you and what you're working with, the subconscious mind, the brain, and the sixth sense. Now, for those that would like their own copy of the book, I would recommend actually getting this book. It's the Prosperity Bible, and it contains not only the story Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, but 18 other authors as well. And it contains all the secrets of the world for success. If you'd like a copy of the transcript, we have that at josettemandela.com/napoleonhill.html. So if you like the speech tonight and want a copy, you can go to that website and get a copy of tonight's transcript. Thank you so much.